This is Lori Prox with Police Chief Bill Comer. We've been having discussions about youth drug and alcohol usage here, with an uptick in drug and alcohol abuse by minors, at least in terms of who's getting caught in 2012. So, Bill, my question to you is, where are they getting this stuff?
Well, are we talking about alcohol or are we talking about...
well, let's talk about both.
Okay, well, alcohol, a lot of times it's maybe friends or acquaintances that have just turned legal, maybe in that 21 to 25 year age. I don't believe that we have a lot of under 21 age people that are being able to sneak into the liquor store showing fake IDs to get alcohol from our local establishments. I don't believe that's happening, but sometimes parents give it to them, or they sneak it out of the parents' home, but they get friends and acquaintances to give it to them.
So staying with alcohol, if we have adults that are buying this alcohol, or maybe not adults, but over 18 that are legally adults buying alcohol for young kids, how many of these folks are getting caught?
Typically we don't make a lot of those charges. I would say typically 2 or 3 of those maybe a year, but they're pretty few and far between. We don't.
Hard to find them?
Hard to find them. We make 2 or 3 or 4 contributing cases a year, and often if they're having a party at somebody's house that's over 21 and there's kids that are under 21 or under 18 at the house drinking, that's a guaranteed charge for whoever owns the home, or whichever adults, anybody over 21 that's there, they're furnishing or providing alcohol, or at least an environment where alcohol is being drank and abused by these underage kids. So that's what gets people charged. Typically, if you catch a couple of kids that are driving around with some beer or some alcohol, and they got it from an older brother or an older friend, they typically don't. They'll take that and not give up who sold them the alcohol. So we don't make a lot of cases like that.
And what about drugs, Bill? Where are the drugs coming from, and what type of drugs are being used? How serious is it? Is it just marijuana?
Marijuana comes from a lot of places. Mostly in Alaska, they're indoor grows. A lot of it comes from the valley. I'm sure that there's probably some grows in Valdez. We've had some really large grows in Valdez in the past, but there's lots of drugs that are being abused. Like I've talked about before, is prescription drugs from the houses. Common new trends are even over-the-counter drugs that just get abused by like spice, different cough and cold, cough medicines get mixed and abused by ingesting a lot of those. There's some hard drugs out there too, but I'd say the prescription drugs are probably the majority of what the harder drugs that are being abused now. And
a lot of folks, even parents in some cases, think that marijuana is okay. How would you address that?
We charge on a city ordinance because statewide, district attorney's office and state won't prosecute marijuana tickets and possession of marijuana cases that we submit to them, just because they don't have the resources, because it is so rampant. Whether it's okay or not, there's a large amount of people that think smoking marijuana is fine. I personally don't. I think it can lead to a bad behavior. I think we've had cases here. We've prosecuted cases here for people who have been under the influence of marijuana and for vehicular homicides, and it does have an effect on you. It is not safe to drive while you've been smoking marijuana, and that's why we continue to go ahead and charge that, and every time we run across it, because and we charge with the city ordinance, so it can be addressed. We put them in front of the judge, and it's not my decision on how they, or the police department's decision on how they're adjudicated. That's the communities and the judge and the criminal justice systems. But if we come across marijuana and everybody knows that it's against the law to possess it in anywhere other than your own home, then we'll let the judge talk to them about it.
There's always been drinking, there's always been drugs throughout high school, and you've mentioned that you think that it is worse these days, but it seems that it's crossed the line where a lot of kids are coming back to school, during school hours, not partying, but actually during the day.
I think that's the general feeling. I've had our officers tell me that they think it's pretty rampant out there, and that's what they're seeing. I don't have any hard data or statistics that can say that, or just say the last 6 months we have 40 incidents. It's hard to make a trend out of a small number of cases and stuff.